Disney, let Netflix play the animated X-Men. Please, for the love of God, let it happen. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Game Changer. I am indeed Nate the Effing Great, and I'm being joined here by the Daphne to my Dink. That is a Dragon's Lair reference, for those of you that are not too familiar with that. One of the most hardest games in all of America, and God help me, I still want to see the movie that it transitions to. Don Bluth, what's going on, dude? VicTori Belle, how's it going today?
It's good. Not the greatest weather. I think you probably had it too. A lot of storms, but we're here, and we're clear. Hopefully, in the technology realm.
Well, yeah. For those of you that definitely have heard me in the past, I've ranted a lot about Skype, so we're still working on that, and Skype is still being kind of mean to us. I don't know what it is, but for every time that we try to do a Skype call on this podcast, it seems like it never wants to work with me and VicTori Belle, so I don't know what to say other than the fact that Skype, get your stuff together. Make this thing better. Otherwise, I'll keep putting a 1-star rating for you guys. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry, actually. Just get your stuff together. All right. So, we actually have quite a bit to talk about. Main point is definitely going to be talking about what makes movies bad, but there's also a lot of stuff that went on throughout this week. Actually, starting off with the new releases of 2 movies that we are definitely looking forward to. Of course, talking about A Star is Born as well as Venom. God help me, both those movies are really good. But let's actually start off with A Star is Born, because I think a lot of people definitely know the hype with Venom. I could definitely talk a little bit about some of the rumors that are going on, as well as something that Tom Hardy actually stated in an interview that makes it very interesting, considering how Venom is going. So A Star is Born is basically talking about a musician who is basically almost at the point of just saying, like, this is not worth it, this is not good. And he meets up with this woman, surprise, surprise, who basically has a beautiful singing voice, but she is very self-conscious about herself. But when this musician, hears her and sees her, it's one of those things where he says, well, you're beautiful to me, and that's kind of really what matters, right? At least one person thinks you're beautiful. It's actually there's a lot more exhibition than that. I know I probably butchered it all to crap, but it's literally one of those movies that we've definitely talked about in the past and thought, this could actually be one of the best movies of the year. Honestly, I will be very surprised if it does not get at least one nomination in the awards. It actually looks really good. Honestly, you have also Bradley Cooper directing this as well as starring it. It also features Lady Gaga, and it's really weird for me to not see her, doing like the crazy, wildish side of her. She's literally looking like she's just, completely normal, which I guess is my fault for assuming that she could be anything but normal. But honestly, the way the trailers are looking up right now, it's really looking like it's going to be a fantastic, fantastic movie. And actually, you were the one that kind of, brought this to my attention, what this movie's all about. And as soon as I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh, okay, this actually seems very interesting. So, you pumped for A Star is Born this weekend?
I am. I don't know if I'll be able to go see it this actual weekend, but I definitely am hoping to go see it soon so that we can talk about it.
Like I say, it's definitely one of those movies that could indeed be one of the forerunners for one of the best pictures of this year, but it could also be one of those movies that, as soon as we see it, it's like, well, that kind of got watered down compared to the trailers. But honestly, I'm thinking to myself, with all the history that comedians and a lot of funny characters or funny actors have done, they've had a really good, resume so far. I mean, Jordan Peele with Get Out, John Krasinski with A Quiet Place, and now we have Bradley Cooper doing A Star is Born. So I have some considerably high expectations with this movie, but I think it's one of those things where, just don't set yourself up for a fail if it is not exactly the best. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. It looks to be an absolutely fantastic movie.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait.
And of course, the other movie that I am definitely been looking forward to ever since they showed the trailer for it, I'm just like, I want this to come. I want this to be the thing. And I got the chance to actually get a ticket for it on Thursday, guys. So I will definitely be keeping the spoilers down to a minimal, if not spoiling it at all, until possibly the week after. I know that I've done about 5 different movies on our Facebook fan page, one of which recently was released, Hellfest, and I definitely do go through quite a bit of spoilers there. But it's one of those movies that I think a lot of people are looking at thinking, like, it looks stupid. So I think this is one of those things where it's like, I think I'll get a pass on this. So Venom is definitely looking like one of those movies that I am just thinking to myself, okay, this is probably the second or third Marvel movie this year that I'm just super amped and super excited to see. And a lot of things that have definitely going into this. One that's been confirmed by multiple sources, some still think it's a rumor, is that Woody Harrelson will be playing the role of Cletus Cassidy, who eventually will become Carnage. I don't know if that's going to be a future movie or if that's going to be a part of this movie, but we'll just have to wait and see when it comes out. Another thing that actually came up in an interview was Tom Hardy actually commented that they were trying so hard to try and get this movie to the rated R section, but unfortunately they were only able to get away with so much with the PG-13 rating. So about 40 minutes of the film that he liked actually got cut from it. So maybe it's going to be one of those things like with Deadpool, like with a lot of other movies, where it's like, okay, maybe we'll get an extended feature. So far, it doesn't seem like we are going to be getting that. Maybe we'll get a lot more deleted scenes. I'm not sure, but basically some of the things he talked about was like the puppeteering was awesome. Some of the dark comedy involved was some of his favorite stuff to do. So hopefully it's one of those things where it's not like Batman vs. Superman, where we're just like, well, that movie was crap. And then we get to the extended edition and it's like, okay, well, I guess it makes it more tolerable. I still wish that we got more from it than that. But I'm still looking forward to Venom. It looks to be an absolutely amazing movie. And still people are saying, oh, there's a good chance that we might get a Spider-Man and Venom crossover. And how many times have we said, it's probably not going to happen, guys, probably not going to happen. But even Tom Hardy has said, hey, I'm totally down for the idea of a crossover with Spider-Man. So it's one of those things like, okay, maybe there's a small chance that they'll do this crossover. Because especially if the main character in Venom is into it, then there's probably a good chance that it might happen. But then again, Sony, Marvel, not exactly the best relationships, and also it's Sony and Disney, so I don't know. I really don't know.
I don't like that he said that. That makes me more nervous than I already was about this movie. The Venom movie is getting a lot of mixed reviews, in the fact that people are like, it's not worth my time if Spider-Man's not in it. And I'm like, oh snap, they don't even care because they want Spider-Man, and I get that. I 100% get that, because he's in Spider-Man's world. It's kind of weird to just bring him out of it, but that's how all, I think, superheroes kind of start. They end up in one of the mains world, and then they get pulled out if they're popular enough to do their own thing. For the most part, a lot of them start that way, but yeah, I wouldn't. That makes me super nervous. If somebody already is making kind of excuses up for it, it's not great on my book. But it is being overwhelmingly, everywhere. I've seen Venom everywhere. I was in LA this past weekend, and it was all over. Literally, cool little, spots of, Venom or places. I was like, oh, that's cool, they're doing really good promotion here, but I don't know.
Huh. Well, to your credit, it definitely does seem like they are, indeed, giving it some harsh reviews. And what? Oh, my God, come on. There's one site, Games Radar, that are saying it's Catwoman level bad. I'm like, no. I refuse to believe that. And there's even one rumor from comicbook.com that is saying Lady Gaga's fans accused of spreading negative Venom reviews to help A Star Is Born. A Star Is Born is going to be awesome no matter what. Just shut up. Just let us Marvel fans who really appreciate the fact that we're getting Venom, a true Venom, in the first place, just let us bask in this, let us enjoy this, and stop trying to make it seem like, oh, it's a competition between the two. We know it's going to be a really good movie, and we know Venom definitely still has a lot of hesitation. Just shut up. I'm sorry, but that's just one of those things where it's like, really, you're going to do this, man.
I think that seems a little much. I don't know if I believe that that Lady Gaga fans are hating on Venom just to make her movie sound better. I feel like that's a little much.
Well, the key word is accused, so it's nothing seems probably like it backs it up, but never know in this world. So let's talk about maybe another positive thing. So there's a lot of stuff on here that you'll definitely look at, and I'll definitely put this in the description in our podcast. A lot of these come from the website We Got This Covered, and it's actually a pretty good site that actually cites a couple of sources, and one of the sources definitely they hit on is the fact that Marvel is going to be done with quote-unquote team-up video movies after Avengers 4 is wrapped up. And actually there's an article from I believe it was either the head of Marvel or one of the directors basically talking about how it just seems like it's one of those things that it's so much of a pain to get all the actors together because they have all their scheduling, they have everything going on. So really, it's one of those things where I read the article, I listen to his comments, I think, okay, I understand. Am I going to rule out that Marvel's going to not do another team-up movie? Definitely not. I think that once maybe scheduling is better with some of the actors, it could be easier. But I do understand, present time, a lot of those big names like, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, they're definitely still going to be those mainstays in Hollywood that are going to be called up to do like every single role in Hollywood. So, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. After this Phase 3 deal and when they move on to Phase 4, who knows? Maybe when they reach like Phase 5 or when they continue onward, they'll do more Marvel team-up movies or like very sporadic ones. That I'd be okay with. But, I don't know. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I always think team-ups are fun. I told you, I think it's always the best part when you're like, oh my gosh, there's so many superheroes all together. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if all the old people will be still involved. I think we can't even talk about team-ups and stuff until after the next Infinity War, because who knows who's done.
Yeah, this is very true. This is very true. Speaking of Marvel, and I don't know if I would consider this more of a team-up, but it could be something very interesting. Star Wars' own Mark Hamill has actually expressed a bit of interest in playing Dr. Octo Octavius in the MCU. And this is, of course, coming from, again, We Got This Covered. This would be a bit of an interesting selection here, because a lot of people definitely know he can be the dark, twisted, sadistic side. He plays the Joker very well. Him playing Doc Ock would be a bit of an interesting choice. Do I see him as that character? Well, not exactly, but it's one of those things where it's like, you know what, I've been proven wrong before on some of these actors. Honestly, I did not expect Michael Keaton to be as good of a vulture as he was. So this could be another one of those situations where it's like, you know what, you're going to be proven wrong. Be like, well, shows me to doubt Marvel again.
Yeah, I think that could be really cool, but I also would hope that he wouldn't do his Joker voice or anything Joker-like if he was. And I'd be nervous that is his go-to bad guy voice. So I'd be a little nervous about it.
I'm hoping the same. Now that you mentioned that, that's one of those things where like, oh boy, him trying to be Doc Ock and having that Joker voice is like, oh my gosh, you're going to be pissing off so many people, Mark. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, because he's such an iconic Joker voice that people would, I agree, I think people would start being like, okay, really? Like, that's not Doc Ock at all, so Marvel fans would be pissed. And then DC fans would be pissed too, because they're like, that's our main animated Joker. How dare you?
How dare you? We will slander, we will sue, we will blip, 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 blip. And if you don't think that, that would happen, I dare you to look in the past and see one of those situations where that has not happened, especially when it comes to the latest, not Solo, but the last Star Wars movie that happened before that, Last Jedi, where fans were just like, either boycotting the movie or just saying, this is stupid, this is bad, blah, 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 blah. just doing major critiques and just doing major threats. So, yeah.
Did you hear too that people are talking about a new Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix?
I actually did, and I think that there were some some pictures roaming around on the internet about that role being all but confirmed. So it would be kind of an interesting one, but it's one of those things that now raises the question: is this for like a Netflix deal, or is this basically them saying, "Yeah, we gave up on Jared Leto, so we're gonna do this guy"?
I have no idea, but I was kind of. A lot of people are talking about it. Like I said, I work at a comic book school, and I worked there all day yesterday, and a lot of people were talking about this, and I was like, is this a confirmed thing? And they were thinking it was. So I was just like, well, in all honesty, this guy's pretty crazy. So he can do crazy well. And he's, I don't know. You know who Joaquin Phoenix is?
I have no idea who he is. I'm sorry.
Look him up real quick. He was in Signs. He was the stowing away Jesse. He kind of actually went crazy in real life and had a drug issue. He was in a movie with Scarlett Johansson where Scarlett Johansson was just a phone or a robot, and he fell in love with her. He's been in a lot of roles that you're like, okay, I could see him really embracing this role.
So her, I think, I know which one you're talking
Her
about.
is the one where he fell in love with a computer voice, like Siri, like he fell in love with Siri. Which I've never seen it. It seemed really weird to me.
Well, I mean, it's just it's kind of one of those things where I guess some people just get that lonely, and maybe some people really like. I mean, I think I've heard nothing but positive things about that movie. So, I mean,
but do you know who he is now?
I'm looking at his resume for movies right now, and well, it's kind of funny because he actually voiced Kenai from Brother Bear, so he's worked with Disney before, so it's one of those things where it's like, well, he saw how Disney's working, but now he's going to go over to the DC universe, and who knows, maybe he'll end up, who knows, oh, no, he's confirmed for a Joker. There's a Joker movie coming out in 2019. And yep, he is credited as Arthur Fleck / the Joker. So,
Yeah.
Well, I guess that kind of confirms it. So it's gonna be interesting. I think I'll need to watch some of his movies so I can get an idea on what he's capable of. But
I mean, if you just see that guy smiling, you can see the Joker in there and be like, "Oh, yeah, that's going to be scary."
yeah, I think a lot of people would have thought William Dafoe would have been a really good Joker, maybe like a father to the Joker, just this crazy lunatic. Which honestly, I could see that too. But if they're going with Joaquin, I'm totally down for it. I'm willing to give it a shot.
Same. As long as it's not Jared Leto again, I think we're all like, okay, we'll try this.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay.
Send it our way. We're down. Where's the new Superman? I don't know. Whatever.
we're not getting Jared Leto as Joker. That's all that matters at this point. So here's another bit of an interesting article that came up. Chris Hemsworth, aka the beloved Thor from Marvel, actually wants Hugh Jackman to come back as Wolverine. He actually brought it up in an interview where he liked, the idea of working with Wolverine. He just imagined, when you talk about Marvel, that there'd be so many people that, would be front and center, and that Wolverine was definitely one of the most standoutish, characters when it came to Marvel, which I have a hard time disagreeing with that. And Hugh Jackman would eventually respond to those comments about, as much as I would love to go back, I think that the ship has sailed. It's just time for me to, stay back, let there be another Wolverine, and let somebody else, take the reins, which I respect Hugh Jackman for that. As soon as I saw that article, I'm like, no, he already retired from Wolverine. Leave him alone. Just stop it. It's enough. We had a brief cameo in Deadpool 2, and it wasn't even him. Just leave him alone, please. And, hearing him say, like, I'm ready to just give that role to somebody else, it's like, okay, I respect the guy. I can't really say anything bad about it. I even love when he makes jokes. I mentioned on Night at the Museum 3 where he's playing King Arthur, and he randomly just breaks out a Wolverine cameo in there. It's one of those things like, oh, okay, that's funny. He's not making fun of Wolverine, but it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, he's trying to look intimidating, he's trying to look menacing, and Wolverine is kind of the best way to go. So, yeah, I would love to see Wolverine in Marvel, but at the same time, we still got a lot of stuff going on before we see, X-Men, Deadpool, and a lot of these other characters come into the MCU. But we're definitely going to be talking about one of the new X-Men movies coming out because a trailer was released. But we'll talk about that in just a minute. Honestly, though, your thoughts on these comments by Chris Hemsworth and wanting Hugh Jackman to come back as Wolverine?
Well, I think he's just being Australian-esque, and he just wants all the Aussies to take all the great roles. No. I think that, it would be really cool to see him and Hugh Jackman acting, side by side, co-stars. But I 100% agree with Hugh Jackman and Hugh Jackman's decision of, one, he's like 50-something now. Like, he's an older dude. Like, he doesn't want to have to keep going to the gym. That's a lot of work to be as big as Hugh Jackman was as Wolverine. I mean, you can just see him in Greatest Showman and how he looked in Wolverine, and you're like, oh shit, like, he's not naturally that big. Like, no, not at all. Like, that guy put on, like, probably 25 pounds worth of muscle, probably couldn't even eat a carb. like, that is some hardcore workout, and the older you get, the harder that is. So, I think he's more like, as much as that would be great, no, my body is done with that shit. Like, fuck you, man. If you still want to work out like a crazy person, please, go right ahead. But I'm done. I think that would be the main reason, is literally, and he's right, like, we want a new X-Men franchise, and I'm going to be probably talking about that a lot today. And it all starts with getting new faces and new age groups in there that can last for a good 12 years, however long it's going to take to make that franchise happen. Like, they need to be able to last, and sadly, Mr. Hugh Jackman is not the guy for the role right now.
Yep, I definitely agree. Couldn't have said it better. But we still love you, Hugh. We think that you're an amazing actor. Just keep doing roles. Just don't overdo it, because honestly, I'm going to just state this right now. They did basically the same thing in Logan that they did with Terminator Genesis, where they had the real actor, and then they had this CGI younger version of the actor. And it's like, well, this is going to be interesting. From what I've heard, the Genesis one was bad, but it's one of those things where it's like, well, okay, Hugh Jackman can, take the Terminator deal and just make it better. So, it's fine. We're good. And it's also kind of funny, I just got the digital copy of Logan, so I'm probably going to end up watching that sometime this week, just because it was an awesome movie. Holy cow.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, you mentioned new characters and, new deals for X-Men. The new trailer for Dark Phoenix premiered, I believe it was this week or last week, if I'm not mistaken. So, I know that we've talked about this in the past, and I don't know if I'm recollecting this correctly, and please, by all means, tell me if I'm dead wrong. Dark Phoenix was one of those movies that you were kind of nervous about, especially with how they could portray him, and somehow also because of the fact that they've not been doing as good a job as they've been doing recently. I don't know. Am I assuming something, or am I on the am I in this at least within the same conversation of that?
Yeah, no, I kind of thought they already nixed this movie, so to see another trailer thrown out there, I mean, it's the same thing that we're getting. I don't expect it to be very good. I expect it to be a watchable film. That's about it. I don't like Sophie, whatever her name is, from Game of Thrones. I don't think she's Jean. I don't think she's expressive enough. And so yeah, I don't see this going very well. I see it being a C-rated movie at tops.
Sophie Turner was the name of the actress who plays it, so.
Yeah. Like, I think she's very pretty. I think she's very pretty, and she has, like, the right hair color. I think that's about it. They saw her hair and was like, oh, she's getting a lot of good feedback from Game of Thrones. Let's throw her in here, too. And you're like, oh, great.
I mean, we already have that with Emilia Clarke, and now we get this with Sophie Turner, so wonderful.
I like Emilia Clarke, though. I think Emilia Clarke has a lot of good charisma, good personality. She's done other roles besides Daenerys. In Daenerys, she's not very nice. She's more quiet, stern, and all her other roles are, like, quirky and cute, and I'm like, aw. She seems good, but I don't know, for some reason this Sophie girl, she doesn't really change her face ever, which is a huge part of acting. So
we would know.
Well, yeah, and when you watch her in Game of Thrones, like, I kind of thought, like, oh, that was like the Game of Thrones character, gotcha. But then in X-Men Apocalypse, when she came up again, like, she still literally does not hardly ever change her face. And you're like, girl, I don't know what the fuck you're thinking. You just are a solemn person in everything you do. Is that these characters aren't the same? Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's one of those things where it's like, wow, I'm actually the one working clean here tonight. I was not expecting you to drop F-bombs right and left. But I will say this, that it's one of those situations where somehow, I don't know why, this is the one few times where I can compare James McAvoy and Jesse Eisenberg in the same sentence just by saying both of them with really, the long, luscious, straight hair. It looks weird on them. It's one of those things where I just look at them like, this is not, I don't like this. I really don't. I'm used to James McAvoy maybe having shorter hair he was in Wanted, or having no hair like he did in Split or some other movies that I've probably seen him in. But, having him with that, long hair almost down to his shoulders, it's like, well, what is this? What? I know, it's supposed to be one of those things where it's like, oh, this is like a blast from the past. I realize that, but this is not, I don't like this. I don't, because I'm going to get probably Lex Luthor flashbacks, and I don't want those. I want those as far away from me as possible.
That's funny. I didn't even think of that, but, I mean, sure, it works. That works. That comparison definitely is like, oh no, where does beautiful hair go? Oh, he's bald now.
No explanation behind it. I mean, with Jesse Eisenberg, it was like, oh, he had it shaved. Okay. With James McAvoy, it was probably like, oh, it probably just fell with age. Like, he doesn't look that old, though. He looks the same as he did in the past.
I think it fell out when he starts using Cerebro in the movie, because Cerebro kind of literally has all that power on his head, so it fell out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but, yeah, fuck Jesse Eisenberg's character. How dare you just shave your head? Ugh. He's supposed to be bald. It's supposed to be a big, deal for him. Never mind. Keep going. We're talking about X-Men, right?
I mean, we could definitely transition to, a better part of DC, and that being the new trailer for Titans actually came out, and I actually had this recommended by a good friend of mine, Amanda. Thank you very much for showing me this. Honestly, it definitely shows a lot more of what you can expect from the Titans deal. And it actually does mention that it's going to be on Netflix, so that's actually kind of cool. I looked at this trailer and I'm like, okay, so they definitely are focusing on 2 characters in this one, because they do not give as much attention within this trailer as probably, like the cartoon, Teen Titans. But with this Titan live action deal, they're definitely putting a lot of emphasis on the story with, Robin as well as Raven. So it's kind of interesting to see that, because they are indeed 2 different personalities, but it's kind of cool to see that, because I think that even with the Teen Titans deal, I think that a lot of the emphasis was focused on, on Starfire and Beast Boy and Cyborg, but not so much on Raven especially. And people are just assuming like, oh, we know who Robin is, so you know what he's all about and blah blah blah. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how this plays out. It definitely does show also there's a kind of friendship between Robin and Raven, but also of course, connection between Beast Boy and Raven, which will be interesting. And honestly, seeing that kid as like a little green thing. Honestly, I was thinking like, is he going to turn into the Hulk? It's like, no, wait, this is Beast Boy. This is Beast Boy. He's supposed to be green. No comparison. I'm sorry, but it's just really weird, because you see Marvel so many times and you're just automatically thinking, Bruce Banner, he turns green, he becomes the Hulk. This other kid, he's turning green. Is he going to become the Hulk? No, it's Beast Boy. Oh, that's right. I need to separate the 2. Still in that transition yet, but honestly, it looks like it's going to be a really good series from what the second trailer is showing, and I will definitely be giving it a gander when it comes out.
I like that they chose who they chose to focus on. Obviously, if you choose to focus on Raven, it's going to be a dark series. So, just throwing that out there. Everyone probably knows that already, but, a lot of daddy issues, a lot of demons, demonic things going to be happening. And we'll see how it goes. I honestly think it looks good too. I thought it looked interesting, and if it's just a series that comes out on Hulu or Netflix, I think that'll be great, because it's not a movie then. And as we know, in all the Marvel series on Netflix, you kind of put them in their own category, regardless of if they follow the movie plots or not, which most of the Marvel ones do. You don't expect them to show up in the movies. So.
No. No, I definitely do agree with you there. And honestly, it's probably a safe bet to do that with DC, especially considering their track record with movies, because it's like once every great while they do get a home run hit, and Wonder Woman was like the last major one. Before that, I think that it had to have been Dark Knight. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, if we pay attention to the years, maybe it's like, okay, like maybe every 5 years they hit a home run. Maybe every 3 years they hit a home run. But right now, DC's in like a really weird spot, especially considering that Aquaman is coming out in December, and they have to find, of course, a new Superman, probably a new Batman. So it's going to be interesting, like we stated in our previous podcast, where they go from here. Hopefully we get some new faces. Hopefully we get some faces that we're not even familiar with. People will be like, oh, okay, this is going to be new. Let's see how they do it. Oh, they do a great job of it. Or, oh, well, I kind of miss Ben Affleck right now. But I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping that's not the case. Ben Affleck is a great actor. It's just that the Batman role was just not exactly his cup of tea, and I think he's definitely admitted that quite a few times.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he definitely has.
So, speaking of that, that gets into our, of course, main thing that we wanted to talk about during the episode is what creates and what makes movies bad. So, of course, a lot of people know that there's a lot of things that really do make, movies fantastic, whether it's the directing, the camera shots, the special effects, the acting, the story, but there are a couple of occasions in which, even with so many great stuff, it can still stand out as one of those movies where it's like, wow, this is not that good. I mean, you have this, and that's fine, but other than that, it's not a really good movie. So we're going to actually talk about a few movies that we thought, had the potential to be good, but unfortunately, due to a certain aspect, failed the expectations. So I always love doing this. So VicTori Belle, why don't you start us off? What is one way that can make a movie go bad?
Well, I kind of went off the fact that, yes, these are obvious reasons why a movie would be bad if this was in there. But, yeah, I went off the fact that these are the biggest things that people look for to make an awesome movie. So I decided to choose these awesome things. If they're bad, you're going to have a bad movie. So I'll start with the basics of acting, overacting. If you overact or just freaking suck at acting, that is going to make a movie really go bad. And it's more on the side of, I don't think they might have gotten great tips, or they just didn't research who their characters were, or people just don't commit. And I'm gonna use the example of Avatar: The Last Airbender, as they had some good actors in there, but it was not good acting in there. And I've already used this example a few times of the live action Avatar. We talked about it a little last time because Netflix announced a new Avatar movie coming out on Netflix. But, and, maybe it was like they didn't even want to be in this movie. I think that's a big one, is when you see bad acting, a lot of the actors are kind of done. We've seen this a lot with Ben Affleck when he does stuff. He's like, I just didn't even want to do it. You're like, F you. If you're hired and paid a ton of money, you're doing it, bro. What's your problem? The actors in this first movie didn't know the character roles, and I honestly think a lot of them were too young to express what he wanted to express out of, the Avatar series. The Avatar: The Last Airbender Nickelodeon series has actors who are much older than what the characters, voice actors that are much older than the characters are supposed to be. Besides the voice of Aang, who I believe Aang was actually a younger kid, but he doesn't really say anything that doesn't sound like what a young kid should say. But the other ones really grow. The characters are supposed to really grow and have this deep hate for another nation that destroyed theirs. So having young kids try to portray this to adults isn't great. And that's kind of, I think, was one of the number one. There was the wrong choices to start out with. Wrong races, wrong everything. And because of that, they had no idea what they were doing. And not great. Period.
Yeah, you definitely do hit on that quite a bit in our last episode. I think it was a few episodes ago. So to kind of piggyback off of that, I'll definitely use a more one that actually just came out recently. The Predator was a perfect example of just really bad acting, and just, it's one of those things where one of the things that you definitely need to do as an actor is you definitely need to get people involved in the story. You need to get them to want to, care about you. You want them to basically, give a damn of what you're doing. For this, I mentioned it in the review on our Facebook fan page. I mentioned that, the supporting cast is absolutely amazing. I love the, fight scenes that are involved there. But honestly, other than the story, the main characters, it's just one of those things where they're just too they're too bland. They're not people that you just really care about. And that also ties into another movie that happened this year. What was it again? Strangers to Prey at Night, where you have these characters that you're supposed to care about and that you're supposed to be like, okay, I kind of don't want this person to die. But literally, during that movie, their attitudes and the way that they were presented, it was just like, I don't care about these characters at all. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, I'm rooting for them to get killed. I know it's horrible for me to say, but it's literally one of those things. I mean, you probably have experienced that where there's just a movie that you're watching and it's just like, yeah, I really do not care if this person lives or die, and it's like they get killed off. It's like, well, I mean, it's not a big deal to me. It's
an artwork. If you're like, people aren't supposed to like a lot of characters that people do like. And so, like, that's because somebody committed and, like you said, make you care about the character, make you feel for the character. Like, it's not always the actor's fault, but we start with blaming the actor. And it's okay to blame the actor, because they're the person that represents it at first.
Yeah, and honestly, if they're, too scared to give their, like, perspective and give their ideas, like, hey, I like this idea that you're going, but would it make more sense if we did, this direction with this character? Like, if we showed that there's actually, like, a caring relationship between family members and, stuff like that. So, I mean, it's not one of those things where we can blame them all the time and be like, oh, the actors, they don't stand up for themselves. No, there's been a lot of times, there's been stories where actors have said, this was what I wanted, and the director just said, no, we're going in this direction. I mean, one of the best examples, I will also say this, that one of the better examples is Ryan Reynolds playing as Deadpool. He's like, I know what the people want. I know what the comic books are saying. Let's go off of this. Let's do this idea. So it's one of those things where, actors do have a say, and they can definitely, translate that into how they present the characters, like we said. But if some of them are just like, directors just say, like, okay, do this, and they're just like, okay, then obviously it shows how much you care for the job as well as how much you care for the character, and that does rub people the wrong way.
Yeah, I do think there's some argument there, but I will state that on the basic low-level first degree of what makes a bad movie, you can blame an actor first.
Yeah. So another thing that definitely does make a movie pretty bad is when they try to take something popular and they try to modernize it. Best example of that is indeed Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat. The live-action one featuring Mike Myers is one of the most god-awful movies that you'll ever see. I do not recommend watching it even once, because 20 minutes in you're just going to be like, yep, I'm done. I'm getting up. I'm not doing this. And it's just... It definitely is one of those things where Mike Myers has definitely said that it's not one of his favorite roles. He definitely had to go through like the hours of preparation, and you always looked at him. He just felt so confined. Now people would say like, well, isn't that also like the Jim Carrey Grinch version? That's different, because with Jim Carrey, he knows how to work with it. He mentions some of the processes that he went through to be in tone with the costume that he was in. Be in tone, be the Grinch. He's using the costume to its full advantage. But with Mike Myers, it was always very, very... it was always feel like he was very constrained. He always looked very uncomfortable. And a lot of the stuff that they throw in there do not help at all. Like, they try to modernize with, like, cooking shows, fart humor, pandering to the lesser degree, which is why we got Paris Hilton in that movie. Jeez Louise. And there's another joke where basically there's this, like, stretch-out photo of the kid's mom, and Mike Myers is just showing, like, oh, he's excited to see what that is by his hat just going up. It's like, what is this? This is not... No! This is not what Cat in the Hat was all about. It's about, learning that, hey, it's okay to have a little chaos, but you have to learn to control it. And even when they present that blatantly in front of people, it's like, you're too late. You're too late, movie. We're already gone. Just, what are you doing? You're hammering this in, and the bird's dead. Just stop it. Just no.
Yeah, that movie was like at the height of let's put Mike Myers and everything. And he's a great actor. I love him, and he's used to being in, like, suits and stuff. I mean, he was Fat Bastard in the Austin Powers movies, and he was, you know, he always had a bald cap for Dr. Evil. Like, he's used to doing stuff, but I think they were on his terms and his basic characters that he wanted. So having to do, like, a goofy version of Cat in the Hat, which I agree. I was like, well, is this Cat in the Hat, or this is, like, a bunch of Mike Myers characters all burst together as one weird furball thing? I don't know. Like, you heard some Shrek in there, too. You're like, where is Shrek in there? Is Shrek in there? For real? But yeah, that's another movie that you're like, ugh, no.
Yeah. Honestly, if Shrek would have made a cameo during that movie, it probably would have bumped it up from like a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes to maybe like a 16%. If people always think like, well, I mean, it's a crappy movie, but at least you get to see Shrek for like 30 seconds, so it's all good, I guess. But just, again, I vented a lot about this, especially when I talked about a lot of the Dr. Seuss films, ranking them from least to best. Just, I just wish, it was one of those movies that was so bad that Dr. Seuss's widow even said, no more live action, Dr. Seuss movies, no more. We're done with that.
Really?
Yeah. This was one of those things where it was like the final straw where she's like, nope, that's it. I really do not want my husband's legacy to be, tarnished by this. And honestly, I can't blame her because, what really comes out after, Lorax, Horton Hears a Who, and now we got The Grinch coming out. Definitely better movies. I will say that much. Some of them, you definitely do notice there's some issues, some flaws with it. But at least you look at them and you think, okay, this actually feels more like a Dr. Seuss deal. Don't like the fact they put some more modernized stuff in there, but at the same time, it still has a little bit of that Dr. Seuss feel to it. So
yeah, that's the biggest thing I think about Dr. Seuss. I love how we always get off on a tangent, but is the animation style and the word choices, and if you're not going to have any of that, it's not a Dr. Seuss movie then. You didn't have any of the writing. You didn't have the animation. So how is it Dr. Seuss again? Just because it was based off of it? The characters have the same name. That's it. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. That's basically sums it up to a T. So, all right, ball's in your court. What do you got next?
Yeah.
What makes a bad movie?
Yeah, well, I kind of just said that. Like, if you don't have the right writing, writing is, I think, one of the biggest things. That's why it's my number two. And it kind of goes along with what you were just saying about kind of misrepresenting things. I think a lot of the writing misrepresents characters, and that's where people start losing faith in what that character is, maybe even saying the actor sucks. So for me, I'm kind of building up to, like we can blame the writing, and that could be a reason why you hate what the actor's doing. And in all honesty, as an actor, you aren't supposed to not listen to your script editors and people like that. You're supposed to go with what it says. If you're like, no, I think I would say it this way, and they go, I read that it was said this way, so say it this way. You go, yes, sir, or yes, ma'am. I will read it the way you said it, and it sounds like shit, but okay, not my job. So writing in general is key, and I think one of the areas that I'm just going to have to throw out there, I think the whole X-Men franchise has been a little bad at that. There's been some parts where you're like, okay, this isn't a horrible movie, but in general, yeah, it just isn't good. No one really is like, oh, hell yeah, X-Men's on, sweet, yeah, I love this movie. Like, no one's ever said that. I've said that about the cartoon series. I'm like, I love X-Men cartoons. They're good. They're written well, and they represent the characters that we all know and love, that we've known for the past, 60 years or whatnot. One big thing I think I could throw out about the writing is Mystique. what the hell is Mystique doing in these movies? Does anyone actually know who Mystique is? Because I don't think anyone of this time, if you haven't read or watched the cartoons, you're like, wow, Mystique's a pretty misunderstood good person. I really like her, and she's super important in the X-Men series. And I'm like, what? No, she's awful. She's supposed to be the worst. Like, she kills people and does all these things that cause chaos. And, oh, right, they didn't want Jennifer Lawrence to be a bad person? Question mark? So they made, let's change the whole character to be good, and she's part of the X-Men, and she's just going to always be hanging out with the X-Men, because it looks like she's doing that again in the new movie. Oh, my God, I hate it. I'm so done. I'm so done with seeing Jennifer Lawrence as this Mystique character. I know she doesn't really like the blue stuff on her either, so let's release her. Let's put a woman that is okay with being a bad guy. I don't know if it was Jennifer Lawrence's idea, but the writing has put it in the court where it's like, oh, this is not Mystique. This is not how this character is. She's not a little whiny bitch who tries to save everybody. She's a hardcore, mean lady who you do not cross because she will murder you.
Yeah, that really sounds like one of those things that I would be in that same boat. If I was like a bigger, X-Men fan, that I would be in that same boat, being like, you know what? This is too much. This is not. No.
She's evil. She's literally evil, and like, you would not, like you said, you don't know the X-Men series, so I bet you wouldn't know that.
Well, I know that now, especially when you've, definitely, drilled it in, like, she's evil. She's a bad person. Just listen to the fact that she's a bad person.
Yeah, and that makes it good. It makes it so good when you're like she's helping the X-Men, and everyone knows when she's helping the X-Men, it's because she wants to for a reason. Like, oh, she's going to steal something in the way or in the process. You can never trust Mystique, but I guess you can in this series because they wrote her to be, she's really not that bad, guys. She's not that bad. She's, just trying to do her own thing, trying to be a good person. And you're like, oh, fuck you. Writing is so important, and I think that's something we all can see in even the DC movies too. Like, if the writing's bad, the character does not come out, and you get mad.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Well, the last thing that I could think of as far as just what makes a bad movie is kind of one of the easiest things and probably the most obvious. It's doing stupid concepts. My God, there's been so many movies where you just look at them. It's like, who thinks that this was a good idea? I mean, Norm of the North is an animated movie that's supposed to be for kids, but you look at it, it's like, I'm kind of scared of this. But it features Rob Schneider. Is he funny? Not exactly. Why would I watch it then? What realm do I want to see a polar bear come from the Arctic to a big city and do basically absolutely nothing but keep it real? What is this? And oh my God, another one that's so stupid. The fact that it's even on this God's green earth is beyond me. The movie Freddy Got Fingered. This is one of those movies that has been known as the worst movie of all time, if not one of the worst of all time, and it accomplishes nothing. There's nothing relatable about the character. There's so many crazy scenes where it's like, why is this a thing? Why is this a thing? All I really have to show you people is the scene where he's literally at a piano dangling little sausages in his parents' living room, and in an off-key deal on the piano, he's just singing this stupid song going, Daddy, would you like some sausage? Daddy, would you like some sausages? Like, this is gonna haunt me for the rest of my life. Why is this a thing? God, why? Why do we need this? This doesn't even think. I mean, hell, Adam Sandler's movies, half the time he's doing them because, well, he wants to take his family on vacation. Then go on vacation. Don't make a movie about it. It makes no sense doing it. It just, why? Again, it's like, well, this is a nice location and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it doesn't make sense to do it if you don't have a good story. If you're thinking, oh, well, I'm just going to write some mumbo-jumbo on here. I think this would be a good screenwrite to do in this location. Plus, we get to have vacation time. It's like, no! Sandler! You did Billy Madison! You did Big Daddy! You did so many great movies! Why is this divulging into stupidity? Why? Just, oh man, I feel like after this I'm going to be just screaming into a pillow because this is one that really gets my goat. Every single time I watch like one of the dumbest movies, it's like, why was this even something considered? I mean, God help me, parody movies nowadays, especially when you look at movies like, Starving Games, Scary Movie 5, all these other ones, they don't really have a storyline to them. They're just things where it's like, okay, well, there's this, actress that would work out. Let's put her in this. Okay, well, do we know what we want to do with the story? Maybe we could base this off of a famous movie. What's a good movie that's coming out? What's a good movie that's out right now? There's this movie called Mama. Do we know anything about it? Something about two kids that literally are like demonized because of mom. We could make a lot of stuff work with that. Do it. Just, no. And then they take Starving Games. It's like, oh, based off the Hunger Games. Do we read the books? No. Do we know what the movies are about? Basically. Okay, we're doing it off that. We'll make a lot of weird cameos in this. We'll do this. Yeah, this actress is going to have like a bird poop on her head. Yeah, we're going to do like this thing where it's like, oh, they were only supposed to kiss, but they go right all the way in this one in the most stupidest fashion. Just, I feel like there's a lot of rage coming out of here, and I need to stop. I need to take a breather.
Well, and one thing that I praise you about, Nate, is you do go see a lot of movies, regardless of what anyone thinks about them. You're like, nope, I want to go see it. I want to go see it and see for myself. And I'm like, oh no, like I heard that was awful. Good luck, Nate.
And you hear me ranting about it the next week. It's like, yeah, this movie sucks.
You're like, what the hell? We're like, Nate, we are trying to warn you. but no, it's great to always give it the old try, and you should. Especially someone like you, who you're a movie connoisseur. So you're going to try, if you were a food connoisseur, you'd be trying food that people were like, oh, that's disgusting. And you'd be like, no, got to try it myself. So it makes sense that you go see these. But I think what I would say on your point would be, it's almost like a disservice to the fans and to your audience if you're going to put out crap and then make people pay for it. Like, I think it's different if I see stuff on Netflix and I'm like, oh, this looks like a shithole movie. And then you're like, yeah, it was. And I'm not necessarily paying really for it because I'm paying for other things I really appreciate on Netflix. But going to a theater and seeing a movie that people just were like, what? Here's a piece of paper. I'm going to go wipe my butt with it. And then we're going to film it and see what happens. You're like, oh, okay, cool. And then let's put it out and see if people come see it. And then, haha, joke's on them. They saw me wiping my butt. And then it's a shit movie. And you're like, oh, well, that's a disservice to your fans and anyone else who really likes you. So, yeah, seeing Adam Sandler movies nowadays is such a, disappointment, especially coming from the great genius comedic mind he was. I can just throw one up in the air that I think I saw part of this and had to turn it off or had to just walk out of the theater. This, Jack and Jill movie where, I think he played his ugly sister and him. And that was just oh my God, this is just offensive in so many ways and also just stupid. So yeah. Adam Sandler is one of those who I like him for the most part, but he needs to stick with it. I know he's making crap movies because he's a family man now, because he's not going to do the jokes and the nasty stuff that he used to do. So sticking with animation, I think, is great for him. And he's done the Hotel Transylvania or something, I think. And that was a cute little kids movie, and now it has like 5 other remakes of it, or sequels. Don't think I've seen any of those, but I saw the first one, and I was like, that's cute. He's talking about him being a dad and that the whole time, so...
Yeah, and then as soon as you said Jack and Jill, it's like, oh god, this is one of those movies that makes me appreciate the fact that we had amazing actors playing women, and not just random comedians in drag. We had Robin Williams playing Mrs. Doubtfire, which delivered a heartwarming message. We have Tyler Perry, who plays Medea, who not only tries to, just be comedic, but also has some really good messages behind him. Then we got movies like White Chicks and Big Mama's House, where it's just like, well, they're just doing this out of the pure comedy nostalgia, I guess. Just whatever, I guess. I don't know.
Still like them, yeah.
There's enough reasons to like them, but still those things where it's like, why is this a thing? Just why? But I think you might have one more point, or was that the final point that you had? And
I mean, the last point, it starts from the top. I say it's the director's fault. There's a lot of movies that just have so many faults, and it's not all like, okay, the actors sucked. Somebody says action, somebody says cut, and thinks that's a good scene, and that's the director. So I always, like, I think people initially don't think this. They're like, oh god, that was just an awful movie. Like, somebody literally approved that. Somebody's like, yep, we're done. And that person is the director. So if you ever have an awful movie, look up the director and go ahead and tweet at him. Tweet at him or her and be like, hey, you suck. That was awful. And, somebody that I would have liked to have tweeted at is the person named Josh Trank. He has directed movies such as The Chronicle in 2012, which was kind of a weird film. Not awful, but weird. And, this little movie that people might have heard of, Fantastic Four. Not the original ones with Chris Evans and Jessica Alba, but the one with Michael B. Jordan, Miles Teller, Kate Mara. Almost an unwatchable flick on more levels than one, having mistakes in the film. Like, literally, like, having a girl, like, the girl had headphones in one part, cutting away from her and cutting back. She doesn't have headphones, cutting away from her, cutting back. Her headphones are back. You're like, oh my god. Who allowed this? Who allowed this to happen? This has so many mistakes. And, like, Michael B. Jordan, we know he can put on some makeup. We saw it in Black Panther. It's all over his body. In this movie, he has makeup on that doesn't match his skin tone. And someone allowed that. Like, that was Josh Trank. You suck. I don't like you. That movie was, I think, all time one of the worst movies I have ever seen in a theater. Was Fantastic Four, and it literally has gotten demolished to the point where I don't think a lot of people remember it, because they're like, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. We're sorry we did this. It doesn't exist. And I would not blame the actors for that at all, because these actors are actually phenomenal. Like, Michael B. Jordan, freaking love him. Miles Teller is amazing. Kate Mara's been in a ton of things. It's definitely not their fault.
Yeah. And then, I guess if I were going to, pick like one director in particular that might have probably set me over the edge, or just probably push the button where it's just like, oh, I don't like you right now. I think I would have to go with Joel Schumacher, because Batman Forever was one of those movies where it's like, okay, it's passable, it's fine. But then we get to Batman and Robin, and literally, again, I would just go straight into a scream fit where it's like, why is this a thing? Why is this even real? My life just, oh my gosh, it just irks me on how many of like the random like cliches that they had, and all the random like stuff that's like, oh, it's from the comic books. Or it's like, yeah, but you're not understanding why the Batman movies were awesome. They had the dark overtones. They were really good. They made me really think, I want more of these. And after you lost Michael Keaton, it's like, okay, Val Kilmer, okay. George Clooney, why? Just why? He doesn't do anything to add to the character. At least with Val Kilmer, he still did like the whole raspy voice kind of deal. I mean, obviously we went full-fledged into that with, Christian Bale, but at least it made sense. With George Clooney, he's still the same voice. Hey, I'm Bruce Wayne. Hey, I'm Batman. Just, why is this a thing? Literally, I watched this guy called Nostalgia Craig literally just go on a tear on a rampage, and literally the line that sends him over the edge is a line that Poison Ivy says, because it's so cliche, where they have all these random deals where it's like, oh, you have Dr. Freeze who makes ice puns. Okay. George Clooney has a credit card. Why? Uma Thurman, she just lies in a Venus flytrap, and she's literally to the point where she says, like she's in a comic book, curses. Literally, I just see him go absolutely insane, just saying, God damn this movie! It did it! It finally did it! Batman has made me finally go insane! It's like, oh, yep, that's kind of one of those moments. Yep. It's literally one of those things where he just rips his hat off, just starts pounding on a desk, and it's like, I feel your pain. I don't want to watch that movie again. If somehow somebody says, like, oh, you should review this movie, it's like, I am going to need some serious booze to get through that. I'm sorry, but it's not going to be that easy doing it sober. It just, it's like, you did good. You did a passable job with the Batman Forever, and then you gave us Batman and Robin. Why? Just, Joel Schumacher, you had some good hits. I think like 3 really good hits, including, God, what was the one that he was really most notable for? Lost Boys. That was it. It was one of those things where it's like, hey, he's gotten some really good movies out of his block. And then we get to the Batman series, like, dude, never do that again. Never do that again. But he's helped Colin Farrell and Matthew McConaughey get to the launch of their careers. It doesn't make up for the bad movies that he's done. Just no. And, oh, one more thing. No! I feel like we got through a lot in this episode, so.
We did. A lot of crazy stuff from both of our mouths. I really liked it.
Yeah, it's just really good. So, I don't want to end it on this negative note, so we'll end it on this note, which is actually kind of one of the interesting stories that I read, and a lot of people, especially on our Facebook fan page, really seem to like this story. So, there is a quote-unquote real-life mermaid in Iowa, and literally it's one of the coolest things that they, what was it? Where she's literally in like a little mini aquarium. She's trying to, she's basically, she can like hold her breath for like 5 minutes, which is really cool to see. And she does like this deal where she blows like, what were they called? Air circles? What are they called? I forgot exactly what they were. But from a lot of the articles that we had, you can definitely look this up on goodtimes.com. Is one of the first few that broke the story out. She literally looks like a live action mermaid. Now there's some parts where you're just like, okay, I can definitely tell that's not real. But the fact that they're doing this is really cool because it gives tourists something to come around to see and think, oh wow, this actually is between the lines of like real and fiction. 2, it gives kids the right to again just be imaginative and really think that maybe there's some of these things that are real, and it really doesn't do harm in my opinion, especially if people are making that big a difference. I mean, gosh sakes, you look at Disney, they always have those life-size versions of like people like Woody and Buzz, and all the kids are just thinking like, oh man, these are so cool, I didn't realize that they were actually real, and parents are like, yeah, they are. Now of course as they get older, that kind of diminishes a little bit, but still to have that childlike wonder, especially for adults, when they see that, and she's doing a fantastic job. She's been given a lot of praise. She's got a very incredible backstory where I think she said she was either from Grand Canyon or Colorado, and she moved to Iowa because she because the water was not habitable there. So it's like, okay, so that's kind of interesting. And apparently, from what I've heard, she's like super nice, which is like, okay, so this is literally like Little Mermaid good, not like Pirates of the Caribbean, Stranger Tides good, where it's like, yeah, they're beautiful, but they'll basically eat your flesh. It's like, please don't let this be a thing. I've already watched Hellfest, and I already got so many nightmares from that movie. I don't need a live action, a real life mermaid trying to feast on people. It's like, no, I just no, I don't need that. I'm already scarred for life after that movie. Don't give me this. Don't do this to me. I just want something that's nice and happy. Live action mermaid. Okay, this is fine. I'm okay with it. I'm happy. Yeah, it's actually just really cool, bottom line. So
yeah, no, she's awesome, and like her overall look is really pretty conservative, I think, for a mermaid. So it's really kid friendly, and it's all about just her interacting with the kids and stuff. So I think that's a total positive thing, and if I think in time kids will learn, if there's a real mermaids or not. We don't really know, so it's okay to give people this essence of fantasy and mystery, and getting some really cool pictures with a really cool costume. Let's be real, I'm never gonna not support that. So
well, I mean, from your cosplay experience, you definitely know how good it feels to give back to these kids and be able to be like, hey, at least I'm, giving more fuel to their imagination and putting a smile on their face. And again, it always goes back to that one video I keep watching where there's this little like, I want to say like 3-year-old or 4-year-old kid who just sees a Harley Quinn cosplayer, and he just runs up to her and just hugs her for maybe a minute or two. And the cosplayer is just literally, she's going with it. And it's not one of those things where she's like, get this kid away from me, this is too long of a hug. No, she's like, almost like holding her like it's her actual kid. It's one of those things where it's like, wow, this is really heartwarming, and it shows the amazing side of cosplaying. Again, I definitely do hit on it so many times whenever I talk about cosplaying. It's an underappreciated art form, and it definitely deserves its just due. So it's really cool to see that, and it's always cool seeing, my co-hosts definitely do that. So every time you get a chance, go check out her site, go check out her cosplays. They are amazing, they're spectacular, and every now and then she pulls out a surprise. It's like, oh, okay, this is really cool. Recently she did Domino, and I'm like, did not expect this, but I'm totally for it. This is cool.
Yeah, well, thank you. No, it was a good story, good find in the mermaid story, and yes, it's a good note to end on, a positive note.
Definitely. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this edition of The Game Changer, and we have a lot coming up, guys. It is October. We are just, 2 months away from the end of the year. We're going into 2019. Before you know it, we're going to have Glass is going to be coming out. The Oscars are going to be there, which hopefully it won't be as uneventful as this year's was. I'm sorry, but I'm being honest. It was kind of one of those things where it's like, compared to when we first did it, this year was kind of meh. But then again, I was also plastered, so I probably don't remember too much of it, except for hitting the ground because my song didn't win. Damn it all. But it's going to be a crazy 2019. So much going on. But let's get through October. A lot of October-themed episodes. A lot of Halloween-based episodes. Because at the end of the month, we get everybody's favorite holiday in Halloween. Because who doesn't like candies? So you know how to check out VicTori Belle. Check her out on her Facebook fan page. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, as well as give us a like on our Facebook fan page. You can find us on Spreaker.com, on YouTube. Still working towards getting us on Spotify and iHeartRadio. And this week, I will definitely have us back on SoundCloud. So, guys, be sure to tune into that. We'll have some more places where we can actually have you guys listen to us. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for the love. And we will talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.